karibuni sana to this channel where we spread love and positive vibes. Thank you so much to the new subscribers and to the returning subscribers. We really appreciate. To the keyboard reactors and those that like our videos, we appreciate a lot and thank you so much. Today guys, I'm sort of having a very bad cold and therefore bear with me because of the voice. And the other day I had this what is it called, thump aching, and now it's a very serious cold, but I know I'm going to get better. So please bear with me because of the sound, or rather the voice. And today I am coming to appreciate the Jamaican government and the people of Jamaica for the support they have awarded the Kenyan people and the Kenyan government. Jamaica has always been a supportive system to so many countries all over the world. And this time, it has come in handy to the people of Kenya. What am I saying, or what am I talking about? Jamaica has been on the front line to actually sort out the financial crisis that Kenya is facing. Right now, Kenya is faced with so many problems, especially the economic downfall and the increase in the debts, poverty levels, and so many problems. And Jamaica has not been left behind to come and say, you are our brothers and sisters, and we are ready to help you, we are ready to assist you to sort out your financial problems. Our own Dr. Alfred Mutua, who is the financial minister or cabinet secretary in Kenya, met with the Jamaican counterpart, Honorable Senator Kamina Johnson. And these two, they met to see how they can actually mostly sort out the problems that are facing the people of Kenya. Some of the problems facing the people of Kenya is joblessness and the poverty levels and all that. And therefore, these two gentlemen met in Jamaica. So Dr. Alfred Mutua, who is the financial minister or the cabinet minister for financial, actually went to Jamaica and met with Kamina Johnson, and they had a lot to discuss on the problems that are facing Kenya. The two men discussed, in short, market for the Kenyan products, especially tea and coffee, having in mind that Jamaica does not produce tea and it also produces minimal coffee compared with the population of Jamaica and the market demands of the coffee got from Jamaica. The Jamaican coffee, we have always reiterated, it is the best coffee, and therefore it has a lot of demand outside Jamaica, and therefore it's not enough actually for the Jamaican people. And therefore these two gentlemen talked about Kenya selling to Jamaica the tea, which is actually grown in Kenya, and also the coffee. This is a great milestone to the Kenyan government to grow the economy and reduce the debt that the Kenyan government is facing right now with IMF and the World Bank. The IMF and the World Bank has actually made Kenya to increase the taxes so that it can be able to meet the obligation of paying debts that they owe to the IMF and the World Bank. And therefore, these two gentlemen sat and discussed on how Kenya can actually sell the tea and coffee to Jamaica so that Kenya can grow its economy and take it to the next level. According to Mr. Alfred Mutua, their talk was successful and he reiterated amongst the discussion was actually a brew economy. We all know that Jamaica is known, Jamaica is known for the brew economy, so they discussed about the brew economy because Kenya has the Indian Ocean and it can actually utilize, just like Jamaica has utilized the Caribbean Sea to actually attract so many tourists and that is why the economy of Jamaica is actually up there. They also discussed on how to enhance trade and industry, tourism, sports and culture, climate changes, financial and the borderless job opportunities for Kenya in the health sector and the cruise ship industry. In other words, according to Mr. Alfred Mutua, the Jamaican government, through the financial minister, Kamina Johnson, they discussed not actually the financial, it is actually a point of correction. So I was talking about Kamina Johnson, who is actually the foreign affairs and foreign trade minister in Jamaica, and Dr. Alfred Mutua is actually the foreign minister or cabinet minister in Kenya. So these two sat down and discussed on how they can actually grow the Kenyan economy to a greater level. And we have said that they discussed things like economy, trade, industry, tourism, sports and culture, climate changes, financing and the boundless job opportunities for Kenyans in the health sector and the cruise ship industry. In other words, the Dr. or Mr. Kamina Johnson, the Foreign Affairs Minister for Jamaica, was actually promising the Foreign Affairs Minister, Alfred Mutua for Kenya, that Jamaica is ready to actually offer jobs to the Kenyans in the health sector and in the cruise ship industry, and this can actually sort out one of the greatest problems that Kenya is facing of joblessness. The relationship between Kenya and Jamaica is important if Kenya has to benefit from trade in the Caribbean. So we all know that Jamaica has been leading one of the leading countries in the Caribbean in terms of trade, in terms of minerals, in terms of manufacturing, in terms of tourism, in terms of all that. And therefore Kenya stands to benefit a lot if there is a relationship between Kenya and Jamaica. These are some of the things the two men discussed. Dr. Alfred Mutua, the Foreign Minister for Kenya, and Honorable Senator Kamina Johnson, the Foreign Minister for Jamaica. They had this agreement. So they agreed that there will be bilateral cooperation to market for Kenyan tea and coffee. And therefore, the Jamaican government was actually extending a hand of kindness to the Kenyan government to actually sell to them the tea and coffee. These products in Kenya, or this produce, have been having a lot of problems in market, and therefore, if Jamaica accepted to buy tea from Kenya and coffee, Kenya can actually gain a lot because Kenya is an agricultural country, and therefore it needs this relationship and it needs these bilateral talks of the two ministers. And therefore, Kamina promised Dr. Mutua that there will be cooperation market for Kenya tea and coffee. And Jamaica does not, because Jamaica does not grow tea, and also it has minimum amount of coffee, as explained earlier, because Jamaica has a lot of demand for its coffee because it is one of the best coffees in the world, and therefore Jamaica cannot supply enough to the demands outside Jamaica and also cater for the demands inside Jamaica. And therefore the Jamaican government, through Kamina, promised to actually buy coffee and tea for the Kenyan government. The next thing they agreed upon was tourism sector. We have a lot, as a country, we have a lot to learn from Jamaica. Having known that Jamaica is one of the tourism attraction sites all over the world, Kenya has a lot to learn because Kenya also has some tourism attraction sites like the wildlife and the sea, the Indian Ocean, and also Mount Kenya. And therefore, if Kenya runs some of the tricks that the Jamaica uses to actually market their country so that they can have everybody flocking to their country in terms of tourists, Kenya can gain a lot, and it can reduce some of the debts that are actually affecting the people of Kenya. They also agreed to open bilateral framework and expand the bilateral framework to open opportunities for Kenyan seafarers in Jamaica cruise ships and Kenyan nurses. In other words, they opened hearts to actually take the Kenyan seafarers in the cruise ships in Jamaica and also in the health sector, Kenyans to be accommodated or rather to be employed as nurses in Jamaica. This is a great marriage because Kenya is facing a very great problem of joblessness and unemployment. I have talked about tourism sector, but let me share a retro about the tourism sector. The Jamaica government and the Kenyan government wished to share knowledge in terms of shared practices, best practices. We have seen that Jamaica is one of the countries that attract a lot of tourists because of the way they treat people and the way they have set their country to be attractive to tourists. And therefore the Kenyan government and the Jamaican government were to share knowledge and best practices between Jamaica and Jamaican University, Maritime University, and the Kenya Badari College. So these two institutions, they were actually supposed to interact. They can have an interaction section whereby the Kenyan students can learn how to be hospitable to the tourists that come to Kenya and also improve the tourism industry in Kenya. This includes scholarship, therefore people are supposed to be given scholarship either to go to Jamaica, the Maritime University, or the Badari in Kenya, and they exchange ideas and knowledge and good practices so that Kenya can actually maximize on its tourism avenue. This is a very good move for the two countries because they can exchange a lot of things so that the two countries can actually benefit from tourism in the two cases. So they agreed on curriculum. They talk on the curriculum in the two colleges, internship and training. So internship is very, very important to students because students can go to Jamaica in the Maritime University and actually have a look, experience the treatment given to tourists in Jamaica so that they can bring back that knowledge and actually grow the tourism industry in Kenya. A very great move. Jobs. Expand existing bilateral framework to actually create jobs for Kenyans as nurses and seafarers. I had talked about that. So the Jamaican government actually agreed to accommodate some of the Kenyan people, the nurses and the seafarers, so that they can be employed in health sector in Jamaica and also in the cruise ship in Jamaica. This is a great, great help to the people of Kenya. The other one was collaboration in fintech. Dr. Mutua briefed Senator Kamina Johnson on the M-Pesa knowledge that was actually started in Kenya and doing a lot of work, actually doing very, very well in Kenya. And I hope that Kenyans are benefiting from the M-Pesa revenue. And therefore, if Jamaica can borrow such knowledge on the M-Pesa revenue, they can actually exchange ideas with Kenya and come up with a fintech that is going to benefit the two countries. So these bilateral talks were very, very important to the people of Jamaica and especially the people of Kenya. JCC Nairobi, they arranged to co-host the inauguration session of this institution that they are calling JCC. What does this mean? It's supposed to be inaugurated so that it can actually take over. And the JCC means Kenya-Jamaica Joint Commission for Cooperation, JCC. That is what JCC means, and therefore it was supposed to be inaugurated to co-host. The two countries are supposed to co-host this organization, and this was actually supposed to help in high-level visit to Nairobi, Kenya, the same year. In other words, they are supposed to have a program where they come to Kenya and the Kenyans go to Jamaica and they have an exchange programs on how to grow the economy. This is a great, great move. Dr. Mutua also talked about enhancing trade between the two countries, and therefore Jamaica and Kenya are supposed to enhance trade. Apart from this meeting between Dr. Kamina, actually Senator Kamina, and Dr. Mutua, the Jamaican Nigel Clark, who is actually the Vice Managing Director of IMF, is also concerned about Kenya and the problems that are facing Kenya. And therefore, he was here in Kenya in 10th December 2024, just the other day. So, Mr. Clark, who is actually the Managing Director, the Vice Managing Director to IMF, visited Kenya so that he can be able to understand the problems that are facing Kenya and the economic crisis that are facing Kenya. And he said that he listened to different stakeholders in Kenya, including the President, Mr. John Mbadi, the Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury and Economic Planning. He also met the Governor of Central Bank, who is Dr. Kamau Tuke, and senior government officials who are also he also listened to representatives of the parliament. So he was meeting different groups so that he can actually come to understand their take on the problems that are facing Kenya. So he met the president, he met the cabinet secretary for National Treasury, Mbadi, and he also met the governor of Central Bank, Dr. Kamau Tuke, and he met senior government officials. He also listened to representatives of the parliament, civil society, organizations, business community, financial sector, and Kenya development partners. This assisted him to know Kenya's challenges and how the IMF can assist them to actually sort out the problems that are facing Kenya and unlock Kenya's economic potential. And therefore, Dr. Clark has also played a very, very great role to see that the economy of Kenya is actually growing to the level that Kenyans will appreciate and be happy. He also talked to the different stakeholders and actually highlighted the importance of the government listening to people. Because throughout these few months, the people of Kenya have been complaining of the government not listening to them. And therefore, Dr. Clark emphasized the need of the government to actually work with people hand in hand so that they can actually gain trust with the people of Kenya. He also told them to make priorities in financial spending. I'm sure he wouldn't have said about corruption, but indirectly he told them, put priority in your financial spending so that every coin that you have can actually be accounted for and where it is going. This is very, very important if the country is to grow in terms of the economy. He engaged with Kenyans on policies that are, in other words, Mr. Clark, Nigel Clark, I don't know where the word doctor is coming from. Nigel Clark actually told the government to actually engage with Kenyans on policies they are implementing or policy options so that they can gain trust with the people. Because right now, most of the people do not trust the government. I'm not saying that because, there is a lot of judgment taking place on social media, but I'm saying that Kenya government can actually gain trust with the people if they are open-minded and actually share their policy options with the people of Kenya. And therefore, Mr. Nigel Clark advised the different stakeholders on the important things they should do so that the Kenyan economy can grow to the next level. And therefore, once again, we say thank you to the Jamaican government for taking the initiative to actually understand the problems that are happening in Kenya and actually take the initiative to try to help Kenyans to sort out their problems. We appreciate so much, and therefore we salute you once again, Jamaica, because when you are needed, you come in handy. See you during the next video. Bye-bye. and God bless.